Well, Duke was, I think, one of the teams played.
Oh, okay.
And Duke, I believe, and I don't, this may be wrong, Duke had been unscored on and undefeated the whole year, but I think they lost 7-0. I have to go back. So they picked one of the teams that was in it. I don't remember who the other team was. But Duke Stadium
That's
was a
when,
pretty good stadium at that.
so it's like that's when defense won games, huh?
Yeah. Wallace Wade Stadium. It's pretty cool. It's a very old stadium. Right on campus, right there. Have you ever been to Duke?
You know what? Yes. I used to go to a tennis tournament there for years, and Coach K, and I guess it was benefit Duke.
Because they had all these tennis players from all over the country. We'd come down in May. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
So I said, this is where I want to go to school, and then I was lucky enough to get there. Yeah.
No, they didn't recruit me.
No?
No.
I don't think they had a football team good enough for you.
No, I don't think Penn State, Notre Dame, Syracuse.
Excuse my ignorance, were you a top recruit in high school, or were you?
I don't know how they measured me out of high school, but I went to most of the major schools. Like, as I said, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Cornell, Maryland, a lot of schools in that area, and it came down to like Penn State, Michigan, and Cornell. Then I wanted to study hotel and food management, so it came down to Penn State and Cornell, but then Penn State had the,
Little better football.
Yeah.
What was Joe Marinaro? Was that what his name?
Ed Marinaro. So it would have been interesting because if I went to Cornell, I would have played 4 years with Ed Marinaro, but ended up I went to Penn State, played 4 years with Lydell Mitchell.
Right.
So
Ed Marinaro was the same year as you?
Same years, yeah.
Then he went on to be like a movie star, didn't he? Was he in movies?
Yeah, he played I think 1 or 2 years in the NFL with Minnesota. And
number 47, I think his number was that. I remember numbers.
What was my number?
You're number 32. Come on.
Yeah, just testing you.
Emerson Boozer was 32 also, and so were you.
What was my high school number?
I don't know your high school number. I don't know.
My Penn State number.
32?
No.
Your Penn State, your Penn State number. I know professionally.
34.
34?
High school was 32. Just so you know now.
All right. Okay. All right, so we rolling? Okay. Sir,
I'm going to quiz you on that later on.
Can you tell me your name and who you are? Tell me your name.
My name is Franco Harris. Grew up in Mount Holly, New Jersey. Went to college, Penn State University, played under the great Joe Paterno. From there, went to Pittsburgh and played for the Pittsburgh Steelers and played under the great Chuck Noll. And been wandering ever since.
Tell me one more time. Just tell me your name, right? Because I don't think people know who you are.
Oh, I know. I was just fooling.
So just.
Oh, I'm wasting your film. I'm sorry. Okay.
She may not know who you are.
Okay.
So just tell me your name.
Franco Harris.
Or my name is Franco.
Okay. My name is Franco Harris.
How do you? Why are we here? In other words, I don't really know how you know Renee, how you know the Powells, how you got involved in Clearview. If you could explain it.
Well, first of all, I think people would find it very odd that I would be here talking about golf. They know that I'm definitely not a great golfer. I still have to learn the game, but I guess from what I understand, no one quite masters the game. But in sports, there are a lot of interesting moments and moments that have a big impact on the whole game itself. And so one of those moments I took an interest in. And with that, it helped me get more into the game and understand the game more.
What moment was interesting to you?
I had I guess you would say, a awakening when I was playing in the Dinah Shore Nabisco golf tournament, and they introduced this lady named Renee Powell, and they showed a little bit of her history, and they mentioned a little bit of history of her father, and then I found out that they were in Canton, Ohio. And that was a shocker to me, because I said to myself, well, this is only a 2-hour drive from where I live. And it seems like from the little bit I learned tonight that this family had a big impact on golf in a big way. And why haven't I ever heard about this family that was just a 2-hour drive away? And I said, wow, Franco, in the world of sports, that's not acceptable. We should know more about the history of it, even though, as I said, golf is probably the least studied of my sports, and where I don't play it on a regular basis, but I really did start to really appreciate it and love the game for what it is. And so I said, you know what, I need to make a visit there. It's only 2 hours away, and learn a little bit more about Mr. Powell and Renee and Clearview, and then also I met her brother Larry. What's
so amazing about, to you, you said, they did amazing, I think you said amazing things or great things in golf. What is it that's so great? Why was what he did so important?
There are moments along the way, I guess for all of us, that really gets to be, how do I want to say it, where it's a moment that's very impactful off the field, where there are other elements that enter into the picture. And with Mr. Powell, that was part of the case, where it's part of the game, but there's a bigger social impact. There's a bigger historical impact. And that really changes things and sets some things in a different direction. And the more I learned about Clearview and about Mr. Powell, and then when you look at the people involved and just how great and how beautiful the people are, that also enters into your interest into what you're seeing.
But admittedly, you're not into golf. You're not a golfer. You like to play the game, but you're not a golfer. Why was what Mr. Powell, why is what he did so important to you?
Well, in sports, we always find, we always face tough moments, big moments. And what you do in those moments are very, very important. In the golfing world, the whole social element seems to be something that is always given a lot of focus. People always looked at, well, it takes money to play golf, that it's more an exclusive game, that there was and seems to be more separation in golf than a lot of other sports at this time, and just didn't realize that this little guy so far back started his own.
Hold on one second.
Sure.
Sorry.
No.
So you were talking about important moments and why things are, what different moments mean.
Trying to get my
That's okay.
thinking here.
Tell me.
So, okay, I'm sorry.
Tell me what. No, that's okay. I'll try to get you back on it. Tell me what's important about Clearview and what Mr. Powell did.
There were a couple things that you really got to appreciate with Mr. Powell, and in sports you learn how to be competitive. You want to win. You want to set records. You want to do new things. You want to, I guess, in a way, what you're doing, you want to break barriers. You want to set new standards. You want to do those sort of things. And luckily, I feel during the 70s we did a lot of those things, and so you really get to appreciate that. And so when you look at history, you look at some of that, especially in sports, that at certain times in the history of sport, who broke barriers, who made a difference, and how did they make a difference? And so when you look at golf, you definitely have to put Mr. William Powell in that category.
So you can just tell me, if we can shorten that a little, you can say something about there are people in sport who make a difference. You can start by,
Right.
let's just make it a little shorter.
Okay.
Start by saying that, in sport, you always try to.
Well, like I'll take that part of this out. Yeah, so in sports, there are people who make a difference, and there are people who break barriers.
And Mr. Powell.
And Mr. Powell is one of those individuals.
Great. Did your father play sports?
My father is from Mississippi. He didn't play sports. He
When you said, was he in the Second World War or the Korean War?
He went into the military, and he was in the Second World War. And as you know, the military was segregated during that time, and he was in the Black Army, and part of their campaign was in Italy, and that's where he met my mother, and they got married in Italy.
What's that?
We just need to check something real quick.
Okay, real quick, because I got quiet, so.
For a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's step out, Hunter.
Did your father ever tell you stories when he came back after the war about what it was like to come back, and whether do you remember any of those stories? Did he ever tell you any of those, or you not really?
A lot of World War II veterans really didn't talk too much about their experience, and my dad was one of those guys. Now, my mom, being Italian, she would talk a lot, and talk about her experiences going through the war, her and her brother and her father. So got a feel from it from my mom.
Mr. Powell was in the European theater also during World War II.
Mr. Powell was in the military during World War II, and that's a very interesting part of his story, where when he went to Europe, he was able to play on a golf courses in Europe. And then when he came back here to the States, he wasn't able to play on golf courses. And so you look at that and it just makes you shake your head. Here is a guy, part of our military forces there, and they treat him better than he's being treated here at home. And but then once again, certain things happen for a reason, and when you look at that he was not able to play on a golf course here, what did he do? He said, hey, if I can't play here, I'm going to build my own. That's the American spirit. That's the pioneering spirit. That's what we love.
So we're going to get that again as soon as this little sound.
How do you get that again?
We got it. We'll get it again. What? Keep it rolling. What's that truck do?
So now he's dumping his oil.
He's dumping his oil.
He's not sure.
Can we go that second?
It's his pump.
All right, we'll stop. All right, let's roll it.
Peace be.
So, you got to be brave to play football. You got to be strong. You got to. Do you consider what Mr. Powell did, starting his own golf course, to be a brave act?
It took a lot of courage in that 1946, 47 time period to do what he did. There is no doubt about it. First of all, it takes money. And there wasn't a lot of access to money. Then there's the hard work. Just like when a lot of athletes, when they do great things, and you see it on that game day and they accomplish what they accomplish, but you don't see the day-to-day work behind the scenes, the hours and hours that they put into it to really make it work. And so when you hear stories of Mr. Powell putting a cedar around his neck or chopping trees down or doing things and laying sod, I mean, you look at it where he did it himself. He had a full-time job, and then during his other time, he would go out there, and sure, his family would help. He had a great wife, and she did a lot, and then his son Larry, as you know, is a certified greenskeeper and everything. So, but all that time and effort to lay the groundwork, and we can really understand that, and we can appreciate that it's not easy laying the groundwork, but he did that, and then from doing that, you have this great course that he built from scratch, and the vision to lay it out, that was quite remarkable also.
A couple questions. One, been wondering, was William Powell a civil rights leader? Do you consider? I don't even know if you were into the civil rights movement. You're obviously an educated man, so you understand a lot. But do you consider him sort of a civil rights leader?
You know what? People lead in different ways. There are great orators, and then sometimes there are people that do things very quietly that you really don't hear about. And both of those type of positions have an impact. And some you might not hear about because it was done very quietly, but eventually you do start to see the greatness of something. And William Powell was a very quiet guy. He did it very quietly, but it was in a sport in that area that was something that I guess was seen as very loud and very unique, and you know, something in essence never done before.
Just wait for this. I have another good question for you. 1 second. That was a good answer, by the way. Thank you.
Sure.
Let me just go by. I think people would.
Oh, like I thought those signs might have been to get that truck, but no such luck.
That's good.
I think people would say that you were a leader. I think people would say that you were a leader by example. So I guess you appreciate people who maybe lead by example. There are others who led by their voices, there are others who led in other ways, but I think you were considered a quiet leader. Do you consider sort of Bill Powell similar to you in that way, that he did what he did, which inspired other people?
Well, we all get inspiration from a lot of things, and I do get inspiration from people and their achievements, seeing their history, and but then again, a lot of times people don't know what they're doing at that time. They don't know if they're going to be successful or not. Did Mr. Powell know that what he started in 1946, 47 would still be operating and standing today? I don't know. Well, I'm sure he wasn't thinking about that. He was thinking day to day. Tomorrow I have to go out there and seed. Tomorrow I have to go in there and chop a tree. You don't think, 50 years from now, it's day to day. But that's what it is. You get up in the morning and you go to work today.
It's interesting, I've heard the expression that the expression ordinary men do extraordinary things. He was just an ordinary guy, I guess, right? Bill Powell, he had a job, he had a family, but he was going to do what he wanted to do.
If you would see Mr. Powell, he's not a very imposing figure at all. I mean, in any way. And also his demeanor is not forceful, and also when you get to know him, you see he's a great guy. And here's a guy that faced so much adversity in a lot of different ways. And you know what? It didn't turn him. It didn't make him bitter. Now, there's certain things that will make you stronger inside, that will, your fortitude does get stronger with, hey, I want to succeed, like, I want to get that extra yard. I want to do this. I want to do that. There are those moments that drive you, that inside, but it doesn't change the character of who you are. And he was just a wonderful human being who wasn't mean, who wasn't, lashing out, even though people would be saying and doing things to him. He didn't turn.
Did you ever know Marion Motley?
I met Marion Motley once at the Hall of Fame when he was in a wheelchair, and I didn't have a chance to, to say hello to him. Yes.
Well, I mean, these men are pioneers, you know, can you imagine what it took for men like Marion Motley, for men like William Powell, to be a pioneer, like true pioneer?
When you look at pioneers, it's happened throughout sports in a lot of different ways, a lot of different nationalities, a lot of different religions that have broken barriers. And you have to take your hat off to those men and women who broke barriers. And in sports, as I mentioned, that's what we live for. That's what we strive for. And so I think no one gets to appreciate it as much as we do. And sports is such a big part of the fabric of our country, which I love because it just means so much. What it does to young men and women and building them in so many ways. It's very, very important. And also, sports has had a huge impact on our society socially and in a lot of different ways. So those and these moments in history, they have to be preserved. These stories have to be told so people see, you know, where we came from, what happened back then, and where do we go now? Because there will be new people, other people in the future breaking barriers. What are those barriers? We don't know, but there always will be. And those will be barriers that we will really appreciate through time.
Okay, well, yeah, just do a short version of something. Let this beep stop. We'll stop for 1 second. Good answer, by the way. Thank you. Would you just say that you must remember what these people did, something like that? Just a short version.
It's always great to see people that break barriers, and we have to remember these people that broke these barriers.
Why?
History, to me, is the greatest lesson of all. That's where we learn, and that really helps set the course for the future. And so it's very important that we preserve that, either through word of mouth or through documentaries or some form. It's very important.
I think I got everything I need from you, you know?
Beautiful.
Appreciate your time. Just tell us your name one more time.
My name is Franco Harris, for the second time. Hello, I'm Franco Harris.
And say it once to me. Say it to me.
Hey, Dan, I'm Franco Harris.
Thank you.
Wait, let's get some room tone.
Oh, yeah, room tone. 1 second. Just say.
This is room tone.
Thank you.
Okay.